Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Skull Session Recruiting Podcast Signing Day Special brought to you by BuckeyeHuddle.com. I'm Mark Givler with Kevin Noon. More Signing Day recruiting capsules. We're going to do these all day, so stick with us here at youtube.com/BuckeyeHuddle. We'll have little breakdowns of every player that signs with Ohio State today. Right now, we are on to Quincy Porter. This is an interesting one. He is obviously a wide receiver from New Jersey, big time high school program there at Bergen Catholic. I want to say late on the radar. He was on the radar for a really long time. I'm just not sure that when you looked at, he committed in June. I think there were some questions throughout the winter and spring if he would be in the class. Would they be able to get him? Would they get other guys and fill up? How was this going to work? They were able to land him in the middle of June. And this is a kid who has shot up the rankings even. So obviously when he committed to Ohio State, he was a 4-star prospect, and several sites still have him, on the higher end of the 4-star range, but he has been given his 5th star by at least one of the services. So he's a guy with a lot of upward mobility in the rankings, a kind of a guy who really took off this summer and into a senior year, had a great senior season, and is now considered a borderline 5-star prospect. So, Kevin, is this another example of kind of Brian Hartline getting in? It's not like Quincy Porter was unknown, and no, we're not saying that, but his ranking has taken off the last 3 or 4 months. It's steadily improved. Is this another instance of just Brian Hartline getting a great evaluation on a kid, maybe ahead of the recruiting rankings people?
I won't give him credit for like a Mylan Graham on this one, where he truly was like the first one in on Mylan Graham, but he knows what he's looking for. And I think if I'm a rankings guy, if Brian Hartline is after a kid, I'm going to give him a second look at least. And, Porter, big kid, 6'3", top, depending on where you're looking, top 50 type of kid nationally. I mean, just a really talented receiver. Michigan, once it picked up Underwood at quarterback, tried to kick the tires there. I think there was a day or two of where things kind of went a little radio silent in terms of in terms of the public. But then Porter, to his credit, comes out and is like, "No, I'm sticking with Ohio State. I'm signing with Ohio State." And you don't always have those types of situations. You get the Johnny come lately type of situation, and it's new and exciting and the new shiny penny out there, and you go for it. So kudos to that. But, I think that once again, in a class where there wasn't like a Decorian Moore type of name in the class, this is still a really good receiver class. And every year Mark and I do either the recruiting capsules or like a post-recruiting thing. It's like, well, this next year is going to be the year that receiver recruiting is going to go down just for a year, because you have to take a timeout. You have to have a little bit of a pause event there, because you're stacking star after star after star after star. And, we have seen stars leave. We saw Noah Rogers leave and go back home to NC State. He was involved in that game against UNC last week. But again, hats off to Brian Hartline. He's just been a tremendous recruiter, and the next 2 years are looking really good too.
Yeah, late advances made by Michigan. Obviously, Penn State continued to try to flip him. He made one visit to Penn State, but there was never a lot of concern there. Not as much as some of the other kids that took visits where there was a little heightened level of concern. This one was never really in the high level of concern area. I guess a cool story for Ohio State fans about Quincy, who, again, if you don't follow this year round, if you just kind of tune in on signing day or in December and see how things fell, Quincy Porter visited Ohio State the weekend of June 7th. He was supposed to make an official visit, or his official visit to Ohio State was the weekend of June 7th. He was supposed to make an official visit the next weekend to Michigan on the 14th, the weekend of the 14th. That visit was not only canceled, but he committed to Ohio State when he was supposed to be making his Michigan visit. So that was a cool thing. Visiting Ohio State the week before he's supposed to visit Michigan, and then committing to Ohio State and canceling the Michigan visit. So that should endear him right away, right? If nothing else, regardless of how talented he is, shouldn't that endear him right away to the Buckeye fans?
Oh, absolutely. Especially with where all the feelings are right now. I mean, he should be named captain of the recruiting class or something like that, because he obviously gets it. And there were a lot of Michigan experts that had Porter very much in their class until they didn't. And, normally with the recruiting coverage, everybody seems to have an idea about where 95% of the kids are going to go. And they were pretty damn sure that they knew where Porter was going to go until they didn't. And now he signed with Ohio State.
Yeah, so an outstanding pickup there. We're going to roll the video here. Yep, perfect. So again, pure outside guy. Not that Ohio State won't train him a little bit in the slot. They kind of do that with everybody. Even Marvin Harrison Jr. Was used in the slot at times, but kind of your classic big outside physical athletic receiver. At 6'3", 190 pounds, can really go up and make those tough red zone catches, those fade balls, those jump balls that, you kind of, those, not always the highest percentage throws, but the throws you kind of need to be able to make in the red zone if you want to score touchdowns. And he's able to do that. He's a real tough out. Once he has the football, he's tough to get down. Big, strong kid. And again, great hands, great body control. Just a really smooth athlete out there. We're going to talk about this because, Ohio State's receiver room has a lot of talent in it right now in terms of top of the depth chart. But the amount of receivers they have on the roster, it's not a huge numbers game right now for the Buckeyes. They've got some opportunity there for young players to maybe get in that two deep. And Quincy Porter, with his physicality and with his ability to make plays on the outside and generally give them maybe something they don't have from a size perspective outside of really of Jeremiah Smith, may give them a unique weapon to get out there early, Kevin.
Yeah, I don't see any reason why he couldn't get out in the mix early. I mean, Ohio State's schedule built a little bit different next year for 25 than it was this year. But I mean, I think that if you had him and Jeremiah out there at the same time, that's just going to create all sorts of issues. And I'm not saying that Quincy Porter is Jeremiah Smith. Nobody is Jeremiah Smith. I'm not even sure sometimes if Jeremiah Smith is Jeremiah Smith. But I think that there is the opportunity because they don't have this type of body in redundancy on the team. It's not like they have four guys like him. There was a point under Urban where the average Ohio State receiver was probably 5'11", 200 pounds, and they were like kind of interchangeable. That's not the case here. You got a lot of different body types, and I think that that bodes well for Porter if he is able to come in and grasp the system quickly and pick up all the things that he needs to. I think that it's going to be hard to keep him off the field.
And the bigger receivers can take a little bit longer to develop. They're growing into their bodies. But what I like about Porter, other than like we've talked about before, is he's a late guy. In terms of his improvement, he took a big leap as a senior. There's a really high correlation between guys who take big leaps as seniors and college success. Whether you want to call them late bloomers or whatever term you want to use, guys who really elevate their play late in their high school career have really high success rates in college versus some guys who kind of burst onto the scene as sophomores and maybe level off a little bit. And we don't always see that improvement that we might see out of like a guy like Quincy Porter. So I think that bodes well for his success at Ohio State. I think it bodes well for maybe some early playing time at Ohio State as well. And again, I'm always biased toward the big 6'3", 6'3" receivers. Like that's like, those are the guys that I go nuts about, like, Jeremiah Smith's in the past, Marvin Harrison Jr. There's something about those 6'3", 6'4" receivers that, the little slot guys are fun and they're exciting, but I don't know, something about those 6'3" guys that can go up and make these outrageous plays in traffic and in the end zone and things like that. So Quincy Porter is going to give them another one of those types of players. And again, I think it's a really exciting pickup for Ohio State. So, that'll do it for this one. Again, all day, youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle, recruiting breakdowns of every prospect that signs with Ohio State. We're going to do an early evening live show where we're going to recap the day, take some questions for anyone that might have some recruiting questions for us or whatever you guys want to talk about, I guess. But we're going to keep doing that here on the channel. Check us out at BuckeyeHuddle.com, $4.99 for your first month. It's a great deal. It's next to nothing. You can't even go to Starbucks for $4.99 at this point. So why not, pass on Starbucks for a day and give us a shot as we go through the transfer portal, college football playoff practice, and then the first 2 rounds of the college football playoff will be included in that first month. So go check us out. It's going to be an exciting month at BuckeyeHuddle.com. Thanks everyone for watching and listening, and we will be back very soon with another episode.